So hello guys, welcome. Thank you for clicking on this video to watch it. So this is 10 pieces Victorian corset blouse. 10 pieces. You're going to take your Victorian corset pattern. If you want to learn how I drafted this Victorian corset pattern, I have an ongoing class on this pattern. There is an ongoing class where we have this pattern training ongoing. So if you want to learn how I made this pattern, you can reach out to me. My contact is at the beginning of the video, the intro sound. You can reach out to me from there, and I'm also going to place every detail you need to reach out to me at the description box. So now let's get started. You take your pattern, take your paper, and then you place it on the fabric. You pin it down. Now you take note that the fabric is folded into two. It's unfold by two. You're going to make sure that whatever difference you have here, whatever allowance you have here, is enough for the 6 pieces effect you want to get. So now I have 3 inches here, but I'm not going to make use of the whole 3 inches. What I need is 2 inches, so that means I'm going to come out by 2 inches. Now this is the hem of the blouse. This is the hem of the blouse, the length of the blouse. So it is from that length of the blouse you place how wide you want the allowance to be for 6 pieces, for the pieces of the skirt. So now what we're just trying to do in this Victorian corset blouse in essence is just to make it look like a regular 6 pieces blouse, but because of the amount of the pieces, that's why this is 10 pieces Victorian corset blouse. You can try to as well cut yours into 6 pieces if you wish to. Depends on how many darts, on how the darts you place on the body. So now the first thing you're going to do is to come out by 2 inches. You could use 1.5 or 1 inch, depending on how free you want that part to be. I want the blouse to be very full. At the end of the day, it's going to look like flare, or it's going to be very full around the waist, the blouse length area. It's going to be full. The length of the blouse is going to look full. Instead of it going straight flat, it's going to be very full in that area. So I'm going to come out by 2 inches, then ½ inch for joining allowance. So that is 2.5 inches. So after coming out by that, on the waistline, now you are going to take note of the waistline. This is my waistline. So I'll just go ahead and pin this down up here to restrict the movement of the fabric. So now our fabric and the paper is in place. So you come to the waistline, go up by 1 inch, move up by 1 inch on the waistline. Then after that, from that 1 inch is where we are going to connect our point to. So we are going to use your curve ruler to connect it like so. So yeah, I'm just rolling out the length blouse together. So you use your curve ruler to connect this. You can use this straight part, no problem. Whichever one that suits you. From the allowance that I added, this ½ inch, you connect to here. But first, I just remembered, let's place our sewing allowance around this dart area, because this is the dart area, this is the zip allowance. So I'm going to add the ½ inch sewing allowance. Please don't forget. If you forget, it's going to eat into your actual measurement by the time you're sewing this dart area. So you place your ½ inch sewing allowance around it all over. Please don't forget, always make sure you add your seam allowance for the dart lines so you don't fall short of fabric when you're sewing. So I'm just going to connect this sewing allowance which I already marked out. Connect it all the way up. I always try to use half an inch. So after that, now the connection is going to stop here. Remember, we went up from the waist line, we went up by 1 inch. This is the 1 inch, and then now from this half inch sewing allowance measurement we added, we are going to connect our measurements from here to that sewing allowance, so that by the time we are sewing in half inch, it's going to go in and everything would fall in place. We always try to avoid falling short of fabric. Now that is it. So by the time you're sewing in your half inch, you're sewing it in, you also sew in half inch from here, so it's going to correspond at the end of the day. If you forget to put your half inch allowances here, it's really going to affect. You can see now it blends in nicely, so we're not going to fall short of fabric at the end of the day. We have half inch to take out at the hem side of the dart. I hope you understand this and we can see it clearly. So now I'm going to cut this out from the sewing allowance we added. Cut it out. I'm not going to add allowance for the neck. We are going to make use of the neck like that, so we're going to cut this out now. I'm not going to put any basque effect for this blouse. No, I'm not going to put any basque effect. It's just going to be like this. It's going to be straight like that. So please always make sure you put your allowances. So this is it. So after cutting it out, make sure you indicate these lines, the underbust, bust lines, or just point out lines that you're going to notch, so that by the time you're joining it to the other side, it's going to fall in place. Just try to notch these points so that joining it is going to be very easy for you, because this is actually the dart line. Just try to notch busts, under busts, and then indicate this arrow that you have on the paper. You can indicate it here also, because most times by the time you take off this paper you might just get confused, but this 6 pieces anyways is going to help you to know and indicate which area or which part the dart is on. The 6 pieces is always on the dart line. This is the fullness allowance. The fullness allowance is always on the dart line area. So after indicating these points, you go ahead and do exactly the same thing for the next paper. So you take the next one. This is the side seam area for the blouse. So this is our dart line for also the back. Then you come out by 2 inches for the allowance, fullness allowance, then half inch for sewing allowance. You mark it out. You do the same thing. You add your half inch sewing allowance around it. Make sure you add that half inch allowance, half inch sewing allowance. Don't always forget these allowances. So on the waistline again, don't forget to come up by 1 inch. I repeat, don't forget to come up by 1 inch. So this is our waistline. I'm going to come up by 1 inch, then connect this half-inch allowance, going up by 1 inch. Then I'm going to complete this is our half-inch allowance. So this is where our connection will start from for this. After going up by 1 inch, then you connect it. So we already have our half-inch allowance all around it. Now this is our armhole area. You can decide to add allowance or not, but I'm not going to add any allowance to this armhole area. I'm just going to cut it out like that. So after that, you cut this out. So the lower part of the blouse is going to come out very full, very full. Yes, so this is it. This is it. So by the time we join it, by the time it gets joined like this, the fullness is going to be there. It's going to come out full in this blouse length area. So don't forget to also indicate here the lines you want to indicate. Then you notch these lines so that it's going to tally with the other side. When you want to join it, it's going to make the joining very easy. It's going to make it much easier. Then I'm going to indicate my arrow here. So we move on to the next piece. So we're going to do exactly what we did for this, for all the paper, for all the pattern. You place it, fold the fabric into two, taking note of the adding extra 3 inches to the folding. So you do exactly the same thing, add your seam allowance half-inch around it on the dart line before connecting, exactly what I did to the other one. Then the center front, always remember that the center front is on fold. It is on fold. I'm just going to go ahead and show you the one for the center front now. This is going to be for our center front. So this is the center front, always on fold. Now we are going to take note of the allowance now. The 3 inches we need at the lower part is going to be 3 inches. So this is not up to 3 inches, so we are going to add extra to the folding. So this is it. So just try to manage your fabric as much as you can. So this is it. We're going to make use of our 2.5. So I'm going to go ahead and chalk this out. I'm going to mark this out now. 2.5. Then on the waistline, you move up by 1 inch on the waistline. Then add your half-inch sewing allowance all around it. So we're just going to do exactly the same thing. So now this side front, because it has darts on both sides, on this side, this is a dart line connecting to the center front. This side is connecting to the center front. This is 2, and this side is connecting to the side front. This one is connecting to the side front, like so. So now we are going to add our fullness on both sides of the darts. because remember it is on the dart lines that the fullness would have to be connected on. So on this dart line we're going to come out by 2.5. On the other side also we're going to come out by 2.5. Then on the waistline we go up by 1 inch and do the connection like that. So I'm going to just go ahead and pin this down. So which means we're also going to add half-inch sewing allowance on both sides of this particular piece. Please take note, don't forget to add the extra 2.5 inches on both sides for this piece, because if you don't do that, it's going to affect the front, it's going to affect the fullness. One part is going to fall straight while the other side is going to have the ease or the allowance. It's going to look somehow. Don't worry, if you practice this on your own, you're going to understand what I'm saying. You must add that fullness on both sides for this piece. It mustn't go straight on one side. It would affect the fullness that we want on the blouse. So now I'm going to go ahead and mark the half-inch allowances all around it. This is our half-inch. So you just make sure you mark it out. So now on this waistline, don't forget we went up by 1 inch on the waistline, go up by 1 inch on both sides. Since we are placing the dart on both sides, move up by 1 inch. Then our 2.5 here, 2 inches for the fullness and then half inch for sewing allowance. The way I folded the fabric, it is the exact measurement. So you would also try to reduce the waste of fabric. So this is the exact measurement that we need for the 2.5. So I'm going to continue with the allowance on the dart lines. So here I'm done marking it. This is it. I'm done. We are done marking the whole allowances and the extra fullness that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out like so. Don't forget to come up from the waist inch by 1 inch. Well, it's your choice anyways. You can decide to use the actual waist length if you want, but I always like it to come up a little by that 1 inch, so it doesn't start exactly on the waist. Whichever way you want it to start, it's your choice. So there it is. I'm just going to go ahead and indicate the lines that I want to take note of, so that when I'm joining to the other side, so I'm going to notch it. I don't necessarily need to notch this width, but let's just go ahead and give it a notch. Yeah. Okay. Just notch everywhere necessary that can guide you on how to pin it down when you want to join it to the other side of the piece. It's going to make it easier for you. So I'm going to go ahead and mark. Now this is going to be attached to the center front side, while this is going to be attached to the side front. Don't forget, if you're going to get confused as to which part you're joining to which part, well, this protruding part is where you're going to join to the center front. It's obvious. It's very much obvious. So you can go ahead to indicate if you want, so that you don't make any mistake. You can indicate it. So you can mark here CF. So once you mark here CF, you are sure that you know that here is going to be attached to the center front. It's very easy. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of the pieces exactly the same way. So this is it, guys. I'm done with all the pieces of the blouse. You can see how nice they're looking. By the time you're done joining them, it's going to come out very full on the waist, from the waist down to the blouse length. It's going to come out very full and nice. So this is it. We are done with the pattern. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for coming back to watch. If you know that you're a new patron to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and place comments in the comments box. Just show me some love. It encourages us. So please subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much. Like, comment, share to your friends, tell a friend to tell a friend. If you know you learned something from this video, please do place it in the comment box below. Thank you so much and have a nice day. Bye bye.